Hello and welcome. This is the Onside Kick, an NFL podcast brought to you by Fox Sports with a little Australian twist. I'm your host, Chris Janssen, and with me, as always, is my good friend who must be on cloud nine, Ted Smith. How are you?
I'm real good, mate. A little bit disappointed that I went for a jog in my Rams jersey the other day. I did not pass the sniff test this morning, so we've gone all in on Jalen.
Yeah, well, it is the Jalen Hurts podcast, as we always say. So it's also good to see Hugo. As usual, you're probably not quite as good, but you're probably still pretty happy after the weekend.
I'm pretty good. I'm happy for Ted. Happy for Ted in the Jalen jersey.
I was screaming so irrationally at that game, watching it at home by myself on the big screen. It was quite exciting.
There's nothing irrational about your team making it to their second Super Bowl in 4 years, mate. We will get into that, though. There are actually a lot of stories for us to cover this week besides the two games. The championship games are done and dusted. We know who's going to the Super Bowl. But as well as that, Tom Brady is retiring. The Washington football team actually has a name. Brian Flores is suing the NFL. But we will start with...
Plus coaches. There's new coaches everywhere. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
We will start, though, I think, with the championship action. That's probably the most important of all of those. And I figure the only way to actually split these fantastic games is to do it chronologically. So we will start with the AFC fixture first this week. And that was Kansas City at home in Arrowhead Stadium. They had the Cincinnati Bengals get on the road and come to visit them. For me, the big story, the big headline from this was Patrick Mahomes finally showed signs that he is not some kind of footballing robot. From midway through the second quarter, they did not score a point until the final second field goal to tie it. And, of course, the crucial interception, which is not specifically his fault, but it goes down in his stats. It just looked like they couldn't get things going. Is this a story of Kansas City choking? Or is this a story of the Cincinnati Bengals completing a fantastic comeback?
I don't think you get an upset of this magnitude without it being more than one thing. But I think psychology comes into it a bit. The only other game that they've lost in months was versus the Cincinnati Bengals. At halftime of that game, in the initial loss to Cincinnati, they went down by 11. Kansas City, were up by 11 points at half. Fast forward to the championship game of the weekend. They had a chance to go up 14 or by 18. They were up by 11. That goal line stand by Cincinnati, where they kept them out. It was a bit of a baffling play, a baffling sequence by the Chiefs. But because Cincinnati held them out, the Chiefs went into halftime up by 11 again. And it would have been playing on their mind. We were just up by 11 on these guys a couple of weeks ago, and they came home in the second half and trumped us. And when they saw that unfold in the second half, or at the start of the second half, when Joey Burrow got hot and Kansas City got cold, it just snowballed into the most improbable result that we've seen in ages. We all had Kansas City in the Super Bowl. It was a foregone conclusion. But Joe Burrow said no, and McPherson kicked him straight into the Super Bowl, dude. It is unreal. Hats off to Cincinnati. But, the Chiefs disappointing in that second half. 0 stats to Tyreek Hill in the second half. And little asterisk before I let Hugo have a crack, there's a chance Pat Mahomes got a concussion, I think. That's my personal opinion in that second half from one of those big sacks. He did get rushed a lot. He got hit a lot. Because when something looks off, there's a chance it is. And some of those passes he missed in the second half, it was beyond the yips. He may have been a bit fuzzy in the head, but again, that's just my opinion.
And just on that as well, whether or not he had a concussion, that'd be a huge story if that was the case. But just the way that he handled that final drive, where that 2-minute sequence where they were, a field goal ties it up, a touchdown wins it. You have the game in your hands. He had that whole sequence where he was scrambling a lot, and in the very last play, he lost like 11 yards. He got picked up by the defense. And of course, shout out to the Cincinnati defense, who were incredible from pretty much midway through the second quarter on. They looked hopeless. I wouldn't say hopeless, but they looked like Pat Mahomes had their number.
They looked like a team playing Kansas City in Kansas City.
Absolutely. And we were just saying actually before this podcast, could you imagine if you went to sleep, the second quarter, or you had to go to work at the end of the second quarter? You would have thought, Kansas City have this by how much? because they were especially that first quarter, they were scoring some more. Looked like the defense couldn't stop them. There was actually an observation made by the commentary team about how the fact they were always playing with two high safeties the whole time, and Kansas City were just picking them off every single play. But the defense stood up. And we got those great turnovers in the second half, and then that crucial turnover in overtime. And saying this, we're not even mentioning Joe Burrow, who's the heart and soul of that team right now. But it was the defense's game. Joe Burrow's been the hero of the season for Cincinnati. He's going to be the hero going forward. But this was a game about the defense.
Yeah, and they switched to man. Obviously, it's been spoken about. You listen to enough NFL talking heads, you would know this by now. But yeah, the fact that they switched to man and only rushed 3 players, it's like, yeah, Mahomes can dance around back there, but eventually he's going to need someone to pass to.
Yeah.
And he couldn't find it. But I will say this, it is a season event, the NFL, right? And if we look at the entirety of this season, we can't be completely shocked with this result or with this outcome or this performance by Pat Mahomes, because it's been a while, but we have seen it. We've seen it a few times. It can't be a massive shock. Although who wasn't stunned because of the results they have put in, especially versus the Bills in the week prior to the championship game. So again, stunned, but we have seen it before from Pat Mahomes, and this year in particular, we have seen him have more poor games than any other year previous.
Yeah.
On the other,
so you go. Yeah.
On the other side, I think it's also important to consider that this almost followed a similar script to that Buffalo game, in the sense that when they got it tied up at the very end, and then we saw the toss, and the toss went the way of the Chiefs, I reckon at that moment, 100% of people were thinking, okay, same story again. And then once the drive started, they got pushed back a little bit. I think it was 3rd and 10 they got to as well. And you started to think, oh, this is looking a little more difficult. And then just like the Super Bowl last year, Tyreek Hill, this was better defense played on him, but basically inexcusably not getting his hands out far enough from his chest. The ball doinking off his hands and off the defender as well.
Great Mark Taylor slip catch reaction
by the other Cincinnati defender. Yeah,
Eli Apple, wasn't it?
And then he got absolutely coat hanged in the middle.
How don't they call a flag on that?
I was wondering about it. Is that actually?
Yes.
Yeah. What? Just unnecessary roughness?
You can't. Yeah. Face mask, unnecessary roughness, whatever you want to do. You can't do that.
Forearm
you can't
people
coat hanger.
Oh.
There's not outside of WWE or UFC. There is not a sport where you can coat hanger someone.
Oh, well, that's fair enough. But I did think it was this same sort of trajectory again. We're just going to watch the Chiefs march down the field, and the narrative would have been completely different then. We all would have thought, oh, well, Mahomes came good at the right time. He's still the greatest, blah, blah, blah.
We'd be talking, should they change the overtime rules before the Super Bowl? That's what we'd be talking about.
Whereas now it's just definitely in motion for next season.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about this AFC game, though. It was fantastic. Once again, the Bengals kicker coming in and having a moment as well. Evan McPherson, ice in his veins. He must have said something, I think, as he ran on the field. Another thing I wanted to talk about on that was Tony Romo was so excited after that kick went through. He could not get a sentence out. He got a couple of really good Tony
Romanisms.
thrown in, and then he just was lost for words in his excitement.
That's why we like him. He was much better in the division round with that Chiefs-Bills game when he had 2 excellent quarterbacks just to get him giddy. And people are talking about how he was kind of alluding to the fact that some people may, if you're the Bengals in that fourth quarter, want to let the Chiefs score, so they've got enough time to hit back. It's a bad call, but that is why we like him, because he gets giddy like a child, and that filters through.
It's so amazing. Someone who's been involved in the game for that long can still get that excited about stuff, and it you can feel it through the TV screen as well. Like, it's what you hope from a broadcaster, especially an analyst as well,
and especially the fact he's an ex-player.
Yeah,
I think.
Ex-player. I know there are a lot of jokes around that the fact that he gets so excited about these big moments is the fact that he's never been to one. But anyway, that's another thing. What I did love, though, just a side note, was so when the Bengals got down into 20. and there was that timeout call by Andy Reid, and Tony Romo mistakenly was like, "Oh, it's a smart timeout. They're gonna challenge a penalty here or something." And the official was like, "You can't actually challenge a legal formation." And
You can't.
Sorry. Even he was getting caught up in the moment, trying to keep us on the edge of the last second.
Yeah.
You got to respect that.
Yeah, well, people like, Tony Romo should know. It's like, shouldn't Andy Reid know as well?
I know.
Yeah, more importantly in this moment. But yeah, Joey Swag Burrows, smoking cigars again. Him and T. Higgins, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, wearing diamonds, Joey Burrow as well, saying he's
Someone asked him if they were real.
Yeah, makes too much money.
And I loved his answer.
Yeah.
This actually leads me into something I wanted to talk about, which was Joe Burrow. All of this media attention around him now, everyone seems to love him. Women seem to be swooning about this new face, potentially, of the NFL. I've seen a lot of commentary on that. He got asked about his diamonds. Of course, there really earns too much money. I want to think there are times where he gives potentially antagonizing answers, but the way that he says them, or he gives controversial answers, I want to say, and sometimes the way he says it, it would be if another player said it disgruntling to hear that.
And another team as well. Like, I think he's a smart dude. Like, he has to change history with Cincinnati. He has to provide a different vibe. And he'd rather them be seen as, like, over-the-top arrogant than the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
He's fighting a lot of history there.
Yeah, so he comes out with these things, and like I say, if someone else said that, you'd question it a little bit more. Is the fact of the matter, is Joe Burrow just unhateable? Is that what we've come down to?
Ask a Ravens fan in a year.
Do you remember Tom Brady was unhateable when he won his first Super Bowl? He was the poster boy of the NFL, the 6th round pick. Anyone can get there. Give it 3 seasons. If the Bengals keep winning, he will be hateable.
Yeah.
Even Pat Mahomes, man.
Anything can twist it, yeah.
There are fewer people now that like Pat Mahomes in comparison to 2 years ago, I feel.
Absolutely. And how much of that do we think, as you mentioned, comes down to success?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. No. If Brady won 0 Super Bowls, he'd just be seen as a good dude who got Botox at some stage.
Yeah.
And went vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to agree as well. I think because of Tom Brady's success, but then it got to the point, I think, where once he went to Tampa Bay, he earned that respect back from so many people. It wasn't the same narrative, even though his narrative was the same, but the narrative of the NFL was slightly different. So I think...
I'm going to regret asking this, but do you think Tom Brady definitely got Botox?
Oh, I do, for sure. Just have a look at his photos from his rookie season.
I know. It was pudgy, and now he's,
Now he's like heaps hotter, and it's 24 years ago, and it's like that... It's not how human works.
Don't you reckon, isn't there something inside of everyone? There's that dream that even when you're 21, you can aspire to look like that when you're 45. Yes, you must have had some work done at some point.
Yeah, just go to, well, there's the
look
dream.
At Brady as that inspiration.
At like one of those Bondi clinics. Sort yourself out.
Now, let's keep on this for a little bit longer before we get too much into Tom Brady, which will come up a bit later on as well. Yeah. But do we think, though, after all of this, after, fantastic performances from all these Cincinnati players, did that feel a little bit like it was their Super Bowl?
Just as much as the 2 prior.
We've been,
do we now think they have a legitimate chance to go through and compete?
That's why they play the games, baby. Of course they're a legitimate chance. There's a legitimate chance this could be an awesome Super Bowl. Because there's no reason to think that whatever the Rams throw at the Bengals, Joe Burrow won't throw back. He will. Joe Burrow's going to throw down. Like I'm Rams all the way. I want us to win, but like I've never been this soft on an opposing quarterback in a playoff game.
And I did also like the little tidbit that Romo came out with, which was, it must be something to do with the name Joe. If you're thinking about having a famous quarterback for a son, definitely name him Joe, because Joe Montana and Joe...
Don't say Joe Fluco.
No, Joe Flacco is one, but you mean Joe Namath.
Joe Namath, and Joe Montana.
You can't put Joe Flacco in that category.
No, you haven't even heard my stat.
Please, you're right, Christopher.
Super Bowl MVP, Joe Flacco.
The only 2 other players to win a college championship and a Super Bowl were Namath and...
Yeah, there you go. That's not...
Montana.
I really should have let you finish. I apologise, Chris.
Don't put those 2 in conversation with him.
It's I don't know whether we see it as their Super Bowl, just back to your earlier question, but there are going to be a lot they have to rectify if they're going to beat the Rams. Number 1, offensive line.
Good luck rectifying that in 11 days.
I know. But there is something to be said that you've got 2 weeks prep now. where you can work out a game plan.
Sean McVay starts every season really well. I can't remember us being worse than 3-1 over the first 4, which means with time to prepare, he is a really good coach.
Yeah, that's true.
And we'll get onto this, but considering how the last Super Bowl went for the Rams, I reckon it could go 2 ways, though. He could be so well prepared, but then maybe that's what happened last time and he was over prepared and had too much going on.
Jared Goff happened last time.
That is part
Bill
of
Belichick happened last time.
We will get onto that.
Yeah.
The last point on this, what next for the Kansas City Chiefs? This feels like a bit of a miss in the sense that a lot of these players together, they're not going to be there forever. Travis Kelce also getting slightly older. I can't imagine Tyreek Hill, Hardman, Pringle, you're not going to keep all of those wide receivers around for an established amount of time. Eventually, one of them's going to want a bag.
Yeah.
They can't all be on bags, unfortunately. So it's not the NRL. But
they'll still be up there next season. There's
still
no
got
doubt.
Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, still got Pat Mahomes who's there for 10 years. Hardman, Pringle are not, they're great, but what's there is speed. It's not like you can't find speed in the draft. It's not like you can't find speed in free agency.
You sound like the early 2000 Oakland Raiders. Speed. You've got to make sure they're football players as well.
Of course. I'm not saying that. But the whole thing is, do you really think we can't replace Mecole Hardman?
I really think it's not that easy.
It's of course not easy. The whole game isn't easy. But Mecole Hardman isn't the fact that Mecole Hardman goes to the Raiders. Mecole Hardman goes anywhere else in the AFC West. He's not going to be the same player.
I think Hardman would disagree. I think that he would look at as a move. He would look at a move as an opportunity to show how good he really is. It's hard to showcase your talents when you have the best wide receiver and the best tight end receiving balls ahead of you on the pecking order. And I hear you, dude. Like speed is awesome, but like look at someone like Rager from the Eagles, like super fast coming out, but just like routes. Doesn't have it. Questionable hands. That can happen in the draft.
That's a terrible pick by the Eagles, over Jefferson.
And speed can blind you in that when you see a player have it, you're like, I can make this work. And you look at speed and you think of Tyreek Hill, but sometimes you get Rager, right? So yeah, I hear you, but and you might be right, man. Hardman might be washed somewhere else because he won't have the best quarterback in the NFL thrown to him. I get that, But as an athlete, as a competitor, he's probably thinking, I'm good enough to be a number 1. I'm good enough to at least be a number 2, not a number 3 or 4.
Can I make a side bet with you here? I'll guarantee with you that Hardman will not be a number 1 anymore. I think he had an amazing player.
I'm just telling you what he's thinking, mate.
Anyway, but I've been saying this for a while, and you might remember the first pod I came on here was, what if as Kelce gets older and older, because when it comes down to you, when you're 3rd and 9, when you're 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, and you need to look for that guy. Yes, it's great having those quick receivers who can get open, but if they're playing zone, if they're playing a kind of a deeper coverage, you need that player like Kelce who can make that catch in that moment. You can chuck it up and he can get it. I'm still saying the Chiefs, if they want to get back to the Super Bowl, they need to get that receiver. Like they had with Sammy Watkins, who got them out of a big hole in that Super Bowl they played against the Niners. You need a player like that who's taller and can make those catches that Hill can't. It would have helped, for example, in this game against the Bengals if they'd had that player. Yeah.
Also, there's a chance that they're in the Super Bowl this week. They're up by 11 against Cincy.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. I'm not dismissing it. Yeah, they're a great team, but I'm saying that might be the next step with Kelce getting a bit older.
While we're on Kelce, I will say this. His age is a problem. Start of the year, a bit scary, but his best third of the year was the back third.
Yeah.
So if he plays like this next year, it's like, well, we don't have to worry about him for another year.
Yeah.
But
personally, I think we've missed a bigger trick here than their wide receiver core, which is I think the Chiefs need to work on their O-line still. Yeah. I think that's the most obvious one. And there's still some work that needs to be done in the defense too, to give up, 24 or 21
in the second
half.
Yeah. Plus
points.
The Bills the week before, they gave up that many. Yeah.
And the whole first half of the season, there are still obviously some holes there. The other matchup was the NFC Championship game, the Los Angeles Rams at home in SoFi Stadium, where I think I'm prepared to say they even had more than 50% of the crowd. against the visiting San Francisco 49ers, who brought 47% of the fans with them. And after 3 incredibly gritty, grind-out performances by the 49ers, this was just a slight bridge too far. That incredible Rams defense was basically the difference for me. They got them over the line. Ted, the first take is obviously over to you. They are your Rams, and as you correctly predicted, very early into the season, they're into their second Super Bowl in 4 years, mate.
Yeah, look, when the 49ers went up by 10, very, very scared, but Matt Stafford, since 2009, which is the year he came into the league, has the most fourth quarter comebacks in the NFL out of any quarterback. So I was like, it's literally why we got him. If we're down by 10 points with Jared Goff, we do not win games.
Yep.
Or we did not win games. With Matt Stafford, his eyes get larger, dude. And when he started slinging it in the fourth, you saw Jimmy G and San Fran go, like they turtled up.
Yep.
Right? Where Matt Stafford, even when he wasn't landing bombs, he was throwing them. Like he was just letting it sling. It was so good to watch as a Rams fan. And then I mentioned this before the podcast. The Rams were getting almost zero pressure on Jimmy G throughout the first 3 quarters. It was something like 11 or 12%. Then in the fourth quarter, they pressured Jimmy G 77%. And you could see it. It popped off the screen. San Fran could not move the ball, and their skill players and whoever was holding the football was in danger. Aaron Donald was coming, and it was fitting that he forced that intercept for the last play, because he's been the heart and soul of the Rams since he came to the Rams when they were St. Louis. Mm-hmm. He's been around for a bit now. My favourite Rams player got it done on the big stage, the second biggest stage, to get us to the big stage. So I couldn't be happier. Hats off to San Fran for making it work with a quarterback that shouldn't make it work, just from what we've seen. Although he did have one of his best 3-quarter runs of the season, I thought he was good up until the fourth. And there's a chance. No, I'll save that take. But yeah, I'm happy the Rams won. I'm happy Matt Stafford got it done for Sean McVay, who was getting a bit. He was getting a bit tight. Sean McVay, 0 timeouts in the fourth quarter is not what you want from your coach. Some challenges,
questionable challenges.
Mate, they're the kind of challenges I make on Madden, and it's just like, dude, no.
For me, on that, while we're on it, the 1st and 10, where they took a timeout instead of copping a delay of game when they were on about the 45. I thought that one was really strange, and then straight away the commentator came on and said, great timeout. So I was like, well, I guess I just don't understand, but surely you'd take 1st and 15 rather than burning a second half timeout with the whole fourth quarter to go. But
yeah, the commentator probably didn't anticipate that he burned the other ones so flippantly.
True.
But he's in his second Super Bowl in 4 years, which is a massive effort. The dude's only 36, which is crazy. But the time has come. Like he's been labelled a savant. Like the next big thing in terms of coaching over the next decade for the NFL, and this will just confirm that. If he can win a Super Bowl, make 2 by the age of 36, with something that was unprecedented before last year in signing a free agent quarterback and then winning straight away. Obviously talking about Tampa and Tom last year. And one last thing, Les Snead, balls to the wall in terms of movements he made this year. Bringing in Odell, bringing in Stafford, obviously, and making some late round picks work, like Cup, like the Van Jefferson, like the tight end
Kendall Blanton. That's why we don't need first round picks in LA. We make our third round picks work. And so well, that's also to do with McVay in the draft room as well.
And coaching, he coaches them up, mate. Like Higbee went down, and you didn't notice because everyone just moved up and showed that they're part of Sean McVay's system, and they have bought in since they got there.
Yeah.
What you got for me, Hugo?
Well, first of all, congrats to Ted.
Thanks,
who he had that. Well, we're going to get to this later, I know, but he had that great take mid-season where he gave an almost 15-minute rant. I think I jumped out of the room for one bit to go to the bathroom. But he basically said that there are so many similarities between the Rams and the Bucks that it would just be cruel if the Rams didn't make the Super Bowl and follow the same trajectory.
I think I said we're in a simulation if the Rams make it.
Yeah. And are we in a simulation? Can we? Yeah. Anyway, it'd be great if we are. Anyway, look, just want to hammer home a few things that Ted said.
Hammer away.
Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Look, at the start of this season, and even end of last season, when this trade was made, there were people who still said the Lions won this trade. I think there's no doubt right now the Rams have won that trade. And yes, the Lions get all these great picks. The fact of the matter is, Les Snead and Sean McVay have put all their chips in this quarterback who they knew they could win it. They didn't see it in Goff. We saw that in the Super Bowl last time around. Goff can't do it. Stafford, for me, yes, I've seen him for ages and ages. The moment he proved to me that he is one of the elite quarterbacks was that final 40 seconds against the Bucs, where he just put the team on his back. Yes, he had Cooper Kupp, who's been an amazing receiver this year, probably one of the best receiving seasons. Sorry, Calvin Johnson fans, that I've seen personally. I can see you're going to rebut that, but totally I think it's good. And what we saw is that he has got that. If you put your money in, get an experienced quarterback who's been in every situation before, just hasn't had the pieces around him, you can go so far in this league.
Don't go Wentz.
Don't go Wentz. Don't know Wentz, who had one good... Anyway, that's... I'll go one good half a season and do anything from there. The fact they've traded all their picks away for Jalen Ramsey.
Another one. I forgot that name. Well done.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey, who is just, the best cornerback in the league. The fact that your defense is just incredible with Aaron Donald. The fact
Von Miller.
You can get Von Miller to come there for a stupid price. Two second rounders, a second and a third. Stupid price. And the fact that you can then lose Robert Woods and then get OBJ and create this complete super team. OBJ, who is just... yes, he had Baker Mayfield. Yes, he's had that incredible rookie season back with the Giants. The fact that he had such a terrible first half of the season and just his rise since then has just been phenomenal.
First 100-yard game for OBJ since midway through
2019. Last decade. Crazy. And Odell Beckham has answered some questions. Can you still get to the end zone? He showed that over his first 5 weeks of the Rams. Can you still go for 100 yards in a big spot when we really need you to? Mm-hmm. Yes, he can. Yeah. Yes, he can. Just one little clerical error here, boys. Jimmy G got pressured 18% of the time in the first 3 quarters and got pressured 77% of the time in the fourth. I said 11, so I just wanted to correct that.
Ted, no one would have checked. So I'm really happy you told us that, but I didn't even hear the stats. Then the final great story as well, the fact the Rams in a home Super Bowl in LA, it is so big. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but that's, in 10 years, remember the Patriots weren't popular until...
You're right, mate. I was thinking this earlier this week. I was like, the Rams aren't popular now. You know what makes a team popular? Winning Super Bowl.
And the only loser, I would say, out of this matchup, everyone else is excited to see this. The only loser out of this matchup, I think, is the NFL.
Okay.
Cincinnati.
NFL losers.
Relatively small market team. Imagine if it had have been Rams
Chiefs
versus Chiefs. Yeah. Just from that angle, would have been much more marketable. But I think the fact that it's Joey Burrow. Everyone can get around that. Will there be enough Cincinnati fans making it down to SoFi? I hope so.
The most viewed Super Bowl in American television history is actually a Cincinnati game.
Well, there you go.
Versus San Fran.
San Fran, yeah.
The catch.
So it sounds like there should be enough Cincinnati.
Yeah, that was over 30 years ago, so I don't know if that's still carrying water.
Anyway, I wanted
just
to talk about...
The catch was NFC Championship game.
Well, I apologise. I'm trying to give you facts and I'm just giving you false information. Welcome to 2022.
Come back in 10 minutes to correct that one for me, please, mate. OBJ, let's keep talking about that because when Bobby Trees went down, that was a crucial moment for the Rams this season. And I think I liked your point that you brought up as well, Hugo, which is that not every other team had the ability to go out and get OBJ. The Rams do because they have that market, because they have those other players around them. The owner and the GM have put this mentality amongst them that they are all in right now. We want to win a Super Bowl. And that encourages you to go out and get those players. It's not just the fact that they got them. They're appealing to all of those players because they have that potential. Matt Stafford, last thing I wanted to say on this is the only thing we didn't know about Matt Stafford was that he was unproven previously in playoff situations. He had never won a playoff game, and now at the first time of asking, the very first chance he got with the Rams, he took them all the way to the Holy Grail.
He must have been super frustrated all those years in Detroit. Just been like, I'm
Furious.
trying to tell everyone I'm actually really good. I
Furious.
promise I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
Especially the year with Calvin Johnson, they probably should have done a little bit more.
That-
Anyway, gents, the NFC wrapped up that game. The Cincinnati Bengals will be through to face the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 56. We've got a week in between for the awesome Pro Bowl, but there are a few other stories we should cover as well. One is Sean McVay's former team, where he first started his career at Washington. They have finally settled on a name. This can be a quick segment, boys, because ultimately I am extremely disappointed to find out that they are the Washington Commanders. The one very small link from this we talked about is that the Commander-in-Chief is the name for the president in Washington.
It's a dud name.
It's a bad name, man.
Bad name.
Little
Honestly,
correction,
I
mate.
really hoped they stuck with Washington football team. I thought
Sean
that
McVay's first job was in Tampa Bay, bro.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a big Gruden boy. That's why he looks and sounds exactly like that, mate.
I just got swept up by all of
But he
that
meant
hysteria.
former job. Yeah, former job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge missed opportunity for Washington if you're going to pick a good name. There was all this chat about Washington Red Wolves being an idea, which I think sounds awesome.
Yeah, or Red Hogs was the other
Red
one.
Hogs sounds a great name. Washington Commanders, just the first thing that I thought is, so Commanders is pretty long as it is. So what's the nickname going to be?
Yeah.
The Commies.
Yeah.
The Washington Commies. So when are we going to see the Washington
I love
Commies
it. New favorite team.
versus
Let's
the New
go.
England Patriots? Anyway, it's
Equal distribution of wealth. Wait,
yeah,
what?
it's
So-
just that team right now is a shambles. If we thought the stadium falling on our favorite player Jalen Hurts was a low point, this is now
It is a low point
yeah
when your stadium falls on the opposition.
yeah. This like it's just uninspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a fun name. They've it sounds like it's gone through a preschool competition.
What is left to be said?
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm happy to move on from
Yeah.
there. That's enough about the Washington Commanders. We will hopefully have a special guest next week from Washington to talk to us about the
about it.
name. He'll have some fanfare for us.
Just one more thing. Chase Young said about 6 weeks ago, if it's the Washington Commanders, that's the worst name in football. Anyway, Karen.
Oh, no. Let's move into someone else a little bit more important than the Washington Commanders, which is Tom Brady.
Yep.
Again, we can probably keep it pretty quick. It's been summarized quite a lot in the media. Fantastic career. He got to the top of the mountain more times than most franchises put together. And what started as hatred for him, I'm happy to come around now and change that. I'm willing to say he's the greatest of all time.
It took me a while too, mate.
Probably one of the greatest athletes cross sport of all time.
Him, MJ, Gretzky. Sir Donald Bradman, which Americans never throw in there, but I will. I'll say this, mate. I stole this off Dan Hansis. He said when Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl, he was the youngest quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. When he won his last one, he was the oldest quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
First in yards, first in completions, first in touchdowns, first in all of those for playoff.
Same this
stats
year
as
for most of
well.
those stats as well.
Exactly. And we will get onto this now, actually, perfectly. Arno, first, we should talk a little bit as well about Brian Flores. The news come out this week that he is suing multiple NFL teams, including my beloved Dolphins and the NFL, for allegations of racism in their hiring practices. He submitted some texts with Bill Belichick as part of proof in the case. That part to me was quite damning.
Yeah.
Damning, not necessarily in a sense of racism. That sort of stuff is going to be so difficult to prove. I'm not sure how they're going to come on that. But the fact that you've already selected someone and you're still holding interviews from the beginning, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That can't be happening.
And that's the Rooney rule.
Exactly.
And then the idea that the Dolphins have offered him to pay him money to lose games for draft picks.
Yeah.
Firstly, I'm going to say I reckon that happens a lot. And I reckon it's not public a lot. I saw Hugh Jackson. Is it?
Yeah.
Hugh Jackson also came out and said that
Bengals.
the Bengals, no, the Browns had offered him similar things. Also happened probably a bit for him at Cincinnati. But yeah, so I think the NFL is going to have a lot to answer for. I think this is going to be a big case. The only thing I'm upset about is it will be difficult, I imagine, for Brian to get another job now, which is a shame.
Which he acknowledged.
Which he also acknowledged in his little
Statement.
submittal.
It'd be really good for Pat's PR if one day down the future Bill Belichick brings him back as a defensive coordinator. I will say that. But yeah, that text message chain with Bill Belichick is super damning. Because for those that don't know, Bill Belichick, who signs off on text with BB, apparently. It's adorable. BB.
.xmb.
Also more enthusiastic in text messages than...
Yeah, a few exclamation marks.
Yeah.
He messaged Brian Flores to congratulate him on landing the Giants gig, but he had actually yet to interview for the Giants gig. A different Brian.
Dable.
Exactly, Brian Dable. Vikings?
No.
Bill, sorry. Yeah, former Bills OC. He'd already been given the job. And obviously this shows how shit the Rooney Rule is. The fact that the Giants are like, oh, we've got to get a black coach to interview so we can meet the requirements for the Rooney Rule, even though you've got zero chance, buddy.
Yeah.
You won't get the job. You've got zero chance. And the sad thing is that he has said this has happened before. It happened to him at Denver. Maybe somewhere else as well, but he's not the first African-American coach to experience this, I'm sure. And the fact that there is only one African-American coach in the NFL now, when it is vastly predominantly played by African-Americans, zero black owners, one black coach. What are we doing, dude? And Mike Tomlin is that coach. So that's how good you've got to be an NFL
you have
black
to
coach.
win every year for 15 years.
Exactly, bro. Yeah. Maybe that's his real inspiration. Just keep getting paid. I got to win all the time, or I will get sacked. It's sad, mate.
Yeah. The Denver allegations are pretty damning as well. Apparently, John Elway turned up drunk to the interview.
Oh, you don't need to be sober for an interview with a black coach.
I've just got one more thing on this before we move on. The final point is we saw a similar thing with the John Gruden situation. It just seems like as much work as the NFL is trying to do to establish a proper race relation between the players, they're trying to do a lot of things. There are still these inherent issues.
Inherent's the word, mate.
Yeah.
Systemic issues as well. Brian Flores, this situation is garbage. It's felt like there was something going on a little bit when he got sacked.
And all the shade. Yeah.
It's sad to see, and I don't know what the solution is. It's so depressing to see that we have these racial issues still in a league, as you mentioned, where black athletes have been so good for the game for so long and proven themselves on so many levels, and they're still getting called into question for the color of their skin. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You know, a temporary solution would be you can't hire coaches until after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they just do this.
No, but I know.
They'd be like, it's like you don't have the job yet.
Yeah. No, I know. But so you have to, like, it's so shocking. I just don't even see how you could do that. For me, you hire the best person.
Yeah, but you're a good bloke, Hugo.
Yeah, I know.
You're not a millionaire, mate.
Right, that's whatever. And it's ridiculous. But just getting off this for a second onto your Dolphins. Some of the Dolphins stuff is pretty amazing. The fact that, number one, as you said, paid $100,000 per loss. So maybe that's why he was sacked after
the meeting with the already signed quarterback.
Yeah, the meeting with the quarterback on the yacht.
On the yacht, rocks up onto the yacht. It's like, oh, here, this quarterback who's signed on another team just happened to be here, sipping martinis.
Yeah,
it's like, and Flores, who obviously is an honourable man. Ned Stark would roll with Flores. He walks off the yacht.
Yeah,
he walks off the yacht. He's like, no.
I wonder how. I would love to see the full affidavit of what Flores is prepared to release, because I reckon the Dolphins are in for a couple of hefty fines.
And you know what else looks sus? The fact that they just sacked him after he won 8 of his last 10 games.
Yeah,
that looks really sus.
And the last thing as well is the fact that they insist that Flores wanted Deshaun and wasn't in Tua's corner, whereas all these allegations seem to suggest the opposite. The fact that the owner, Stephen Ross, wanted...
I've been saying that the whole time.
Yeah, that's why we were shocked. We were shocked when it happened, yeah.
Even though there's been heaps of shade to come out about Flores regarding his time at Miami, relations with the rest of the brass, the relationships he had with his players, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
They all seem to love him.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing which I think hurts the most, is the fact that black coaches and GMs and owners are so underrepresented, and every time that it happens, all of the players unanimously come out and talk about how much they love this coach, how good he is as a person. Flores seemed like a true leader of men. Yeah. That was, despite the loss to the Jags, despite losing to the Falcons, that was easily the worst Dolphins moment of the year for me when I saw Flores had been sacked over some straight up bullshit like this.
Well, given what we know now, how hard it is for African Americans to land a head coaching job in the NFL, it's safe to assume it'd be really hard to reach that peak and be an asshole the whole way through. I reckon you got to be a decent bloke.
Yeah. That's probably enough on that before we get too upset.
Before my head explodes, mate.
Let's get on to something a little bit more upbeat, which is now that we have a little bit of spare time, there's not as many games to get through. We figured we would finally get a chance to do our Onside Kick awards. We've got a couple of different categories to get through, a few of the obvious ones. I think together collectively we should agree on an MVP before it gets announced. So first,
we're not going to agree collectively, but we should.
Well, we should make some suggestions collectively, and then I will definitely decide.
We will run out of time if this turns into a jury event.
I'm going to go first, and I don't have a lock personally, but I'm going to say that my hunch is that now, given his retirement, I think there will be a bit more of a push for them to push Brady out into the sunset with an MVP trophy. Plus, it's not like his numbers don't stack up to that being fair this year. There are a few other obvious suggestions, though, which I'm guessing you are about to give me. So,
you know I'm going Cooper Cup, boys. Most touchdowns in a season, most receptions. This season, most touchdowns, most reception yards. Most receptions.
The Triple Crown.
Exactly. It's if he doesn't win it this year, you're sending a clear statement. You can never win MVP from wide receiver.
I just want to say I think the league's going to choose Aaron Rodgers.
Well, they've already voted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, if Tom Brady announced his retirement 3 weeks ago, this is how crook the MVP award is. If he announced his retirement 3 or 4 weeks ago, this will be my last season. He will win it. He would have won it.
I want to say, though, that my pick is Jonathan Taylor. I think the season he had was incredible.
Okay.
And I vowed to myself not to pick a quarterback.
Okay.
Jonathan.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to look at the last time an MVP was given to a player that didn't play in a team that made the playoffs.
All right, let's go defensive MVP quickly. I'm going to put my vote down for TJ Watt.
Nice.
Equaling the all-time sack record and still missing games, but still equaling that record single-handedly. Basically, it wasn't Ben Roethlisberger, let's put it that way. It was the defense and TJ Watt that dragged that team to the playoffs. That's my vote for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
He was robbed last year.
I wrote Aaron Donald just because I couldn't help it. But TJ Watt is going to win, and between me and you two, rightly so.
Yeah. TJ Watt will win. The only player who can challenge him, in my opinion, will win Defensive Rookie of the Year, which is Micah Parsons.
Quick one, Aussie Punter of the Year. It was going to be Australian of the Year, but I think that would be incredibly unfair given the season that Jordan Mailata has had.
Who is Australian of the Year, we'll say?
I'm pretty happy to put him over Adam Gotsis. Great year for Gotsis as well, though. Yeah. But Aussie Punter of the Year, I think it has to come down to, we hadn't mentioned, unfortunately, but Mitch Wishnowsky, who did make it all the way to an NFC championship game. For me, though, I'm going to give my honourable mention and hopefully my vote to Cam Janssen. Anyone who spends an entire season punting for the Texans has well and truly earned his $1 million salary. And he got that great Bill Burr reference as well. So it's just been a good year for the kid.
I've got to go Wishnowsky. I think it was week 3 or 4. I might be wrong, but he got our special teams player of the week, which is pretty rare for Aussies, even though we seem to be all the punters.
Michael Dixon for me.
Okay.
I think that he, number one, he had that viral moment of the year, the double punt, which
shouldn't have
so
stood.
Good for. No, it should have stood. That's good. So good for Aussie punters in general. But the Seahawks didn't play well this year. He punted a lot this year, Michael Dixon, and had another great season.
This will be a more fun one. I think we'll have quite a few choices between us on this one. This is the Onside Kick Unsung Hero of the Year award. Someone who didn't quite get enough mention that we think deserved to. For me, it's everyone who plays fullback in the NFL, sick position, keep paying those boys. Everyone who lined up against Aaron Donald or TJ Watt is an unsung hero. But my real vote, it's a 2-part vote. And the unsung hero of the year for me is Derek Carr and the subsequent coach of the Raiders, which was Rich Bisaccia. I think they both deserve big, honourable mention.
Your answers are better than mine, but I just got Patrick Surtain. Just because he's had a really good year and he's not going to get any mentions for Defensive Rookie of the Year because of Parsons.
Another good lighthearted one. Favourite moment of the year for me, I'm going to lock in. We talked a lot about it. It was roughly week 10 or 11 when Evan McPherson kicked the field goal, looked away, started celebrating. It actually missed. And now he's come all the way back to show everyone exactly what he's made of, which is that it is pure 100% ice running through those arms and legs. Now he's got his team through to a Super Bowl off back-to-back game-winning kicks for a rookie. That's incredible.
He hasn't missed any from during the playoffs. He's been 4 from 4, 4 from 4, 4 from 4. Pretty crazy. Yeah, my favourite moment of the year was around 14 seconds left in the division round playoffs between the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
When I thought Josh Allen had driven them home twice versus the Chiefs in the last 2 or 3 minutes, mate, sport wins.
Yeah.
Sport won that day, and yeah, I was so excited to see Josh Allen in the AFC Championship game. How can, the joy I experienced that game was rare in terms of what you get from a sporting event.
That's fun. I couldn't narrow down to one, so I've put together a top 5. I've got number 5, Urban Meyer, the whole fiasco in Jacksonville, just like kicking the kicker.
Bump and grind gate.
Bump and grind.
Gate.
Trevor Lawrence shouting grind in the huddle. No, it was just incredible.
The Jags were just having
the first overall pick again, which is actually good for the organisation. But anyway, Antonio Brown running off the field. That was pretty fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. The whole Ravens going for 2 scenarios. How they had 3 straight weeks of Steelers going for 2, not making it. Packers going for 2, not making it, and then going for 2 at the wrong time against the Browns and coming up short. That was good fun. Josh Allen getting sacked by Josh Allen.
Yep.
That was fun. And as a Jets fan, number 1 has got to be Mike White. His 2 weeks of fame.
Mike Whitebread. I remember him.
Went crazy. We'll never hear about him again, but that was,
Hey, that episode is forever up on YouTube, though, mate, and it is the thumbnail. So if you want to go and relive the Mike White glory days, there's 30 minutes of Hugo just gushing about that.
Yeah, Mike White puns. Magic Mike White lightning.
Let's move into one that's going to be a little bit controversial, and I think we should start with worst take on the onside kick of the year. I'm sure there'll be lots of suggestions from our viewers. They seem to love pointing these sort of things out. I've got a few that I'm going to self-nominate for myself, which was in the very first episode, I'm pretty sure, with Ted. I said that Justin Fields would be an MVP within 3 to 5 years. Having seen some evidence this year, I think that's probably going to be unlikely. I'm just hoping Justin Fields still has a starting job in 3 to 5 years at this point.
That's not such a bad take. I like that take.
We'll see.
He's good.
He didn't look MVP quality just yet.
Neither did the best.
Hugo's a real good bloke, mate.
Yeah,
I think you might be in trouble.
The other one, I think this one's worse. When Derrick Henry went injured and they announced that it was probably going to be a 7 or 8 week return, I came on this pod and said that Derrick Henry was a superhuman athlete and he'd probably return within 5 weeks. It took him the full 8 weeks, and then he came back and had a pretty average game in that first playoff game. So they're 2 of the all-time shockers. I'm happy to take this crown, boys, unless you've got something better for me.
You can have it, but I will join the club. When the Bills lost to the Jags, I was trying to convince everyone they weren't going to make the playoffs. So they almost made the Super Bowl.
Yeah. My worst take was when Jordan Love got the start after the Aaron Rodgers COVID scenario. I said on the show that this is exciting. We're going to see why Jordan Love is a first-round pick. And
it was the least exciting game of all time.
Terrible. He was terrible. I was just excited for the point of being excited about that one. I'm sure we had worse, so I can't wait for the YouTube comments about how every take is our worst take.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the...
Creating this podcast was your worst.
Yeah.
We got him. But I think I'm looking forward to this, our best takes of the year. I will start with you, Ted, because I know what one of them will be. What have you got for me?
Yeah, I had a pretty good feeling that the Rams would make the Super Bowl this year, and I backed it early, luckily.
My best take of the year was that Taylor Heineke is the best backup quarterback.
And I said that the Patriots were going to get absolutely steamrolled by the Bills in the playoff, and they did. And that came about as part of an initial take I had very early in the year where you're about to tell me how much you love Jacoby Myers. And that is the reason the Patriots were so poor in that game was I'd mentioned that they have a who's who of receivers. They have 5 WR3s playing in that team. Not a single player who you look at as the one to go out and make a big play. And that's why they can't chase a game.
But I do love Jacoby Myers.
Hey, and on that note, what a perfect way to end. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Glad to have these awards done as well. Very much looking forward to next week and beyond. getting to Super Bowl 56.
Thanks, boys.